Hey guys, it's Nurse Jay again, Nursing the Truth. Hope everyone is having a great day. So, thank you for all my wonderful subscribers and even people that just happen to land on my channel. Thank you for watching. Just don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and tell your friends and family about me. So, as usual, Nurse Jay always loves to talk about ancient history, ancient religion, anywhere from Egypt, Greece, Rome, Judaism, Islam, it doesn't matter. So, my video that I had made today talking about who's the Antichrist, and we're going to leave off from there. We were talking also about the god Attis and the Jews in Crete, and how they were, settled there, and their holy mountain was Mount Ida. Now, all of these works were from Josephus. And so, as little Sunny, my Jack Russell, is biting on the bottom of my shoe, I will continue on. So, you can go look this up, gnosticwarrior.com on your internet, and the title of it is The First Jews of Crete. Thank goodness for this guy that has done a lot of research on this. So anyway, before the Christianity hit the Roman Empire, people of the world were mainly separated by race, tribes, and the land. Now, the word religion means to bind or to tie. So really, religion is not a good thing to kind of keep you under the thumbnail. So when the Romans had created the new religion, Christianity, their goal was to bind and tie people up under the various races and put them under the Roman Empire under this religion. And any people who practiced outside of that, they were demonized and called heretics. And they were called pagans and barbarians and barbaric people. So many of the ancient people of the lands who were called Jews by the Romans were some of the most powerful and troubled families that were related by blood by the Greeks and Ethiopians, Libya, and Egyptians. And their religion, priesthood, combined military powers, and were the biggest threat to the Roman Empire. And so, therefore, the Romans would also engage in massive military campaign against these people in order to subjugate them and put them under their thumbnail. So, one of the main strongholds of the capital for these ancient tribes that are now considered Jewish people was on the ancient land of Crete, where the Minoans were, and which basically could have been a part of Atlantis. Now, the writer says, which I believe was once the main capital to the Jewish people of the Old Testament. He said, now, some of the most famous authors and historians, such as Josephus and Tacitus, had written that the first converts, now listen to this, because you can go on the internet and look up Tacitus' histories, and it does talk about this because I read it yesterday. And Josephus talks about this as well in his Antiquities. It says that Josephus and Tacitus had written that the first converts to the Christian faith under Rome were said to come from Crete. Very, very massive. It wasn't Alexandria, it was Crete. So that ought to raise some flags in some way or another. Rome were said to come from Crete. It was the Cretan Jews to whom, quote unquote, St. Peter preached on the memorable day of Pentecost, where he had converted 3,000 of them to Christianity, and who then preached the gospel on their return from Jerusalem. Later, Paul would go to Crete and be a part of the missionary effort of Rome, and he was successful, like Peter, in converting many of the island's inhabitants who were now called Jews and binding them to Christianity. Before Paul had left Crete, he had appointed the newly converted Roman Gentile Titus as a bishop to the island. Okay, so this makes perfect sense that in the Jewish sense because Crete, now listen to this very carefully. Crete is where the god Zeus was born, and the island where most of their legends, myths, and Greek epics had originated. Roman senator and historian Tacitus in 110 AD had written that the Jews often traveled to Crete to celebrate the festival of Pentecost, and that they eventually were exiled from the island when Saturn was driven from his throne by the violence of Jupiter. The Cretians, all called Ionians, and the Judeans, who eventually became fugitives from the island and who then settled on the near east coast of Africa in the remotest corner of Libya. In the works of Tacitus, he explains the relationship with Crete, the Jewish people, and the exodus from the island of Crete to the coast of Africa in Libya. Wow. The Jewish exodus from the island of Crete. Wow, there's so many stories about exodus, isn't there? The Jews were told escaping from the island of Crete at the time when Saturn was driven from the throne by the violence of Jupiter, settled in the extreme parts of Libya. Their names adduced a proof Ida, it is alleged, is a well-known mountain in Crete, the neighboring Idaeans, by an addition by the name to adapt to its language of barbarians, ordinarily called Judeans. Some say that the population overflowing throughout Egypt in the reign of Isis was relieved by immigration into the neighboring countries under the conduct of Hierosolamus and Judah. Many state that they are progeny of the Ethiopians, who were impelled by fear and destination to change their abode in the reign of King Cephas. This exile of the Cretan Jews, the author said, I had written about in his previous articles. Isn't it interesting that Tacitus says that the Jews traveled to Crete in order to celebrate the festival of Pentecost, because he appears to simply allude to the fact that Old Jerusalem is on the island of Crete. This does not seem to be mistaken in Maya's of reason, he says, but a well-placed truth that we can also verify with other very important authors who point out that the people of Jupiter from Crete were named Jews. This author, who called the people of Crete Jude or Jews, was no other than the most famous first century Jewish Roman historian, Josephus. In a sign of blood to commemorate this new major political alliance between Rome and Crete, Josephus would divorce his third wife at around the age of 75, then to marry a Greek Jewish woman from Crete. She was a member of a very distinguished family who had borne two sons, Flavius Justus and Agrippa. Josephus is simply one of the most important Jews and family and people in Roman history, and he was one of the keys of connecting these two people into one empire. Hence, it makes sense that he would marry a woman from one of the most powerful Jewish families from the most powerful Jewish state on the island of Crete for political purposes. He had also written about the exodus of Jews from Crete in a similar manner to Tacitus in his book, The Works of Flavius Josephus. So the tradition is that the Jews ran away from the island of Crete and settled themselves on the coast of Libya. This time when Saturn was driven out by the kingdom, by the power of Jupiter, an argument for its fetched from their name. The Mount Ida is famous in Crete and the neighboring inhabitants around, which with a barbarous argument becomes the name of Jews. In the ancient Egyptian text, Crete was called Keftau. In the Bible, it was known by the names such as Kaftor or Captor in the land of Canaan. This island was also a part of Palestine. This island was also where the inhabitants were known as the infamous Sea Peoples and the foes of Israel, the Philistines. The Latins had called Crete in their native language Cappadocia, and the people Cappadocian. Later, it would also be known as Candia or Arcadia. The priests of the Cretan Jewish people were known by several names, such as the Curites, Corybantes, Dactyls, Cabiri, and Telchines, who the first century Greek philosopher and historian Strabo said were names that are often used interchangeably with one another. And these priests were placed in charge of protecting Zeus by his mother Rhea from his vengeful father Cronos, Saturn. And Rhea was worshipped under the symbol of the moon as they had carried the ark. And for many centuries, they had practiced their religious rites. Today, many of these priests from Crete would be known in the Judaic religion as Jewish Samaritans or as a tribe of Levi. Many very important biblical characters come from this tribe. Barnabas, who was born in ancient Greece on an island near Crete called Cyprus. Some of the tribe had come to the Roman Empire in Italy, where they had settled in the hills of Tuscany. Some of the Levite priests from this tribe would join Rome under the New Testament, New Law versus Roman Law, with Augustus Caesar as their first official Pontifex Maximus. He would become their savior because he had established peace by abolishing all other religions and cults to help incorporate a new universal religion. At the beginning of this age, we know as Catholicism under the Brotherhood banner of Christianity, a religion that the same Levite priest would be called Jews in place, such as Greece, were now Christians, bound together under Roman law. Hence the New Testament of Rome with Augustus Caesar as Pope and the Levitist priests would begin the great divide between these ancient Greek tribes that are now considered Jewish for their pagan practices. In Greek mythology, Crete was where the god Zeus was born to his mother, and Cronos seared 6 children by Rhea. But he swallowed them all as soon as they were born except Zeus. The king and greatest of all gods, Zeus, Jupiter, was now hidden in a cave, the dark by his mother, the moon goddess Rhea, who would be the light to lead us through the night. The moon goddess would now be placed in charge of religion. And guys, you can read the rest of it for yourself. It's a wonderful read. So now we see the very beginning of the Jews of Crete, the Jews in Pentecost on Mount Ida. Hotep and Ashe, and I just love each and every one of my subscribers and viewers. Have a great day. Goodbye, guys.